Hello, I'm live now, I guess. So, hi YouTube, anyone who might want to watch this. So, this video is going to be about same-sex marriage and my views on it. This is mainly around what it's been like in Australia. And last year, uh, about a year ago, roughly a year ago, we had a decision, and we made it so that people of the same sex could get married the first time. So this it's caused a lot of controversy, and we're not the only country that's made that decision. Um, there might be other countries in the future as well. I'm not completely up to date with it. So this video is just basically about my opinion about this. Now, first of all, I want to point this out. Liking or not liking same-sex marriage is not the same thing as liking or not liking homosexuality or being gay. And I'll give my views about that first. So, my belief as far as being gay is concerned is that it's not a good or evil thing. It's just a thing. It's none of your business. I don't think that, in my opinion, things that have no effect on you whatsoever, that we should form any opinion on. So I don't form an opinion about being gay. I don't care either way. If you're gay, if you're not, I don't get into discussions about it. It doesn't really matter if it's a choice or if it's something you're born with, and it doesn't affect me. If you're gay, it doesn't affect me. If you're not gay, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, it will affect me if you force yourself on me, but that's going to affect me either way, whether you're gay or not. And that's my view of it. There's a lot of things that we do to ourselves, not everyone agrees about. And if I drink too much Coca-Cola, I drink too much alcohol, or I eat too much, or I'm eating the wrong things, or not exercising enough, not doing your homework, that's the category I put. That's the category I put homosexuality and being gay. It's none of my business. It's never been my business. Now, I know some people quote Bible verse and all that sort of stuff, and in every single religion, not every single one, but every major religion, homosexuality is illegal. It's not allowed in any religion, and that's something that a lot of people that are very religious take that view, and it's an interpretation. We've had a lot of debate about this. My opinion, my belief, my claim, my theory is that in the early days of humanity, or in times when we haven't had very many people, homosexuality was a bad thing and it could threaten civilizations. Now, in that situation, homosexuality does affect people, because if you can imagine, if you have to have all women be constantly pregnant and you have one that's gay and refuses to be pregnant, it's going to cause problems. So I think that in my opinion, my belief, my guess is that that's why every religion has banned homosexuality, because at the time it would have been dangerous. It would have been, in that situation, something that would threaten humanity. It's not the case right now. No. There's a cat outside. Don't know if you can hear that there. Cat's fighting. I don't think it's our cat. Our cat's inside. Yeah. So yeah, the situation, that's not relevant now. I mean, we've got 7 billion people. If a few people are gay, it's not going to threaten society. So that's not relevant. And also the other thing is that if you take it that that's your interpretation of the Bible or any other religious text, is that it must be followed religiously and without separation. You have every right to believe that homosexuality is no good. Okay, I support you having that right, and I support you saying that you believe that homosexuality is bad, and that's not just Christians; It's also Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists. In fact, every religion I've heard of, they all ban homosexuality and they abhor it. So if that's important to you, I think you have every right to not like it. I don't even take a view. Don't regard it as evil. I don't regard it as good. I don't. It's none of my business. That's my view. My view is that it's none of my business. And I think that, I mean, personally, and this is my belief, I have felt very passionately about the fact that when I was born, homosexuality was illegal in Australia, and it was. It's only for men, not for women. It's never been illegal for women, which is sexist to start with. Why do women get to be gay and men don't? That was always an absurdity. And so I actually went to the level of actually marching in protest against homosexuality being illegal. And I got a lot of heat for that. It was a big deal. But I mean, I did that, and I'm very proud of doing that. I'm very proud that I can say I marched for gay rights. I supported them. I've done a lot of other things for gay rights as well. I have. We don't need to go into everything else I've done, but yeah, it's been a big deal for me. It still is a big deal. I fully support gay people having a right to be gay. And again, this look, as far as I know, with the science, it has proven fairly conclusively that there is no such thing as a gay gene, and that you're not born gay. That it is a choice. I think that's proven scientifically. It's a choice, but that doesn't mean it's an evil choice. I mean, certainly from a physical point of view, it's definitely a choice. There's no question there. Whether you personally feel attracted to someone or more attracted, look, that's not even relevant, because I mean, let's just imagine that it was something you're born with. What would we do? Would we go around and castrate everybody who's got the gay gene? So, I mean, society believes, strangely enough, and the opposite of what science has proven. They believe that it's something you're born with. I mean, I think everybody on the planet has gay thoughts every so often. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And a lot more people that admit to it have had homosexual relations. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, I don't think it's good or evil. It would be dangerous to society if we had only 100 people alive on the planet, but we don't. We've got 7 billion. If we have a few people not producing, it doesn't matter. Now, I'm married. Married to a woman. So, what I found when we got married 4 years ago is that, and we had a stage where neither of us were working, and we found that we were getting $200 less per week from our unemployment benefits. Now, I think you deserve that. You're married. I mean, if we were not married, if we were not living together, we were living singly, we got $200 a week more. Now, that's not fair. I know I've heard somebody say, "Oh, well, it was cheaper to live together." No. I mean, I could live with somebody else that I'm not married to, that I'm not in a relationship with, and it'd be just as cheap to live with them, but we get $200 a week more than we do if I'm married to them. So that's not fair. There's no fairness aspect to that. And there's a number of things where it is unfair to people if you're married. There was a time, 50, 100 years ago, I'm not sure what year, but there was a time in the past when it was an advantage to be married, where you would get better jobs because you're married. That's not the case right now. There's a number of cases where you will not get a job because you're married, because they want you to be single. I mean, I'm not going to go into that too much, but certainly being married is not an advantage as far as any financial, any social benefits. It's an advantage because you love them and you want to have that symbolism of being married. But as far as a financial benefit, or a social benefit. There's no advantage to it. So anybody who chooses to get married is doing so knowing that they are facing a negative consequence as a result. And I say that it's really important when you're dealing with the idea of same-sex marriage. A lot of people say, hey, you do same-sex marriage, you're being prepared to pay the government more money than you would have otherwise. And that's true. But now let's consider that, and it has been for quite some time now, you're not treated the same. If you're in a minority group, you're treated differently. And homosexuality is a minority group. When they get married, they get treated better than people who are not gay, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying, oh wow, they get wonderful. There's still going to be people that are negative towards it, but from a financial point of view, they get treated better. And so there's that unfairness aspect of it to start with. That they don't lose the $2,000 a week. They don't lose the other benefits that heterosexual marriages, you have to call it now, does. So that's the first thing. So the second thing that I guess I'll consider is that I was talking about how things affect you and whether they affect you or not. Someone being gay does not affect me. Someone forcing themselves on me does affect me. Having gay marriage affects everybody who is married. Okay? That affects me as a married person. It means that I can't just say I'm married. I have to say I'm married to a woman. It means that the financial negatives and other social negatives that I get, that gay people don't get. And so it affects me in that respect. Other ways that it affects me is, and look, we've gone over the evidence of it, and people who are in same-sex relationships tend not to be as long. It's the nature of it. What's the benefit of being married? So I'll say the negatives. Now, what's the benefit? If one of you is rich and the other one's poor, you get to have the money. If you're both princes and the princess, one's a prince, you get to join two kingdoms together. Yeah, the benefits of marriage. Not really relevant today, but certainly not for me. But in some cases, it's a benefit of marriage. You get your gold diggers, and you get princes and princesses married. There you go. That's the benefit of marriage. Oh, but one other thing. Used to be, if you had a child and you were not married, that was a really, really bad thing. They use the word bastard, and I can say that's not swearing in that context. If you were a bastard, you were shunned from society. So you were basically below everybody. You're the worst person in the world. And so a lot of people that were pregnant, that became pregnant, they would get married to avoid that bastard call. So, yeah, that was the case. It's a lot of people are getting married so that when they have children, so they get married to someone they want to have children with. Okay? And when they have children, they won't be bastards because they are married. It's not really relevant anymore. Currently, nobody cares. If you're born, your parents weren't married, nobody even notices. They don't care, they don't say anything, it's not relevant. But a lot of people are still getting married under that sort of belief. They don't want to have a child that's going to be bastard. In some cases, they've already had 3 or 4 children together. They want to reaffirm that commitment with a marriage. Now, of course, some people get married, they want to have children, and they don't have children. I haven't had a child. We've been married for 4 years. Sometimes that happens. You don't have a child. Now, what we've found, what the actual reality, is that when two gay people get married, whether they're two women or two men, one of the main motivating factors is that they want to have children. And this is a major argument here. And so they can have children already, of course, under the current laws or previous laws as they existed just before the Pope passed. But it was very difficult. Okay, so you'd be getting very few people would actually be approved to have children. It'd be 1 in 1,000, and they'd be maybe they'd be adopted with their permission. Extreme circumstance where no one else wanted them, and the parents had to be amazing, and all these situations which were a desperate situation. And if you're married, it's a lot easier. You're going to get whatever you want. You can even have commercial surrogacy, which is where you have somebody, you pay them $50,000 to have a child, then you have their child, and they have nothing to do with it. And no, I just wanted to just say that, I mean, I wasn't adopted, good on me. And I mean, for people who have been adopted, they know what it's like, and they know that it can be okay, but on balance, it is worse than if you're with your own parents. Now, of course, with individual cases, some parents are abusive, and some foster parents are wonderful, but through no fault of the foster parents, it's an artificial situation which is difficult on everybody. So if you're having a gay people who are only because they can't have their own children, obviously, well, women cannot, but then the father, anyway, the father is not the father. It's fairly obvious you can't have children if you're gay, not with your gay partner, not physically, just physical impossibility. So when you're getting married with the purpose of having children, and gay couples, when they get married, they're having children. When they're doing that, they're creating an artificial environment. And again, if that's the only option, that's fine. A lot of families adopt. It's not as bad if the child's little, whatever, blah, blah. I don't know if people know about how much abuse has happened in foster families. It's enormous. And we've also got the fact that most gay couples don't know how to be parents, because the idea of gay parenting is a new idea. It didn't happen 100 years ago at all, ever. It didn't happen 50 years ago. When did it first happen? 25 years ago, maybe? So they don't have parents who show them what to do. It's going to take a long time before they can ever hope to figure out how to do it. And so what's going to happen from that? We know what's going to happen is that you're going to have a lot of abuse. And we've seen a number of examples of this, and it's going to keep happening. And of course, we're all in denial about it, but we know that foster families are more likely to abuse than natural birth parents. And we know that an artificial circumstance like this is going to lead to a lot of abuse. So essentially what this means is that if we're approving same-sex marriage, which we do approve in Australia, we're approving child abuse. And we're encouraging more child abuse. There's also encouraging domestic violence. I mean, same-sex couples abuse each other much worse than opposite-sex couples. It's statistical reality. It's a big difference to, of course, encouraging domestic abuse. That's not something I can care about because it's themselves, if you like. I mean, it's the gay community, but children who are not even their own children, they're going to get abused. We know they're getting abused. So that's a major aspect for why I didn't think it was a good idea. I mean, I completely approve of homosexuality. I approve of gay couples and having a theoretical ability to have their own children is fine. But I also think that we need to be very strict about it, and we shouldn't be we shouldn't be regarding it as a right to have children under their care, and that's what gay marriage effectively is. It's a right to have somebody else's child under your care. That is the bottom line of what it is. And essentially, we're saying, well, we're going to be okay with child abuse. We're going to be okay with all the different things that individual couples might not do it, but we're increasing the probability of it. And I don't really see why, and we've looked over what benefits there are from it. There's no real benefit beyond that. There's not. You can put your name on there to get a will. You can live as a couple. You don't face any discrimination. It's the only benefit, the one and only benefit to gay marriage is that they get to have children that they couldn't as easily get before. And that does affect people. And so you know how I said at the start, and I said, well, homosexuality doesn't affect me. It doesn't. Absolutely. The actual homosexuality does not affect me one little bit. It's not something that I care about either way. And I mean, the children don't affect me either. They affect the children. And the other thing is, I mean, you're gonna tend to want to bring up the children how you are. I mean, you know, if your dad's a truck driver, he's probably going to want you to be a truck driver. If your dad's gay, he's going to probably want you to be gay. He might not sit down there and think, oh, how can I force this person to be gay? But it's going to happen. You're going to be encouraging it. And the reality is that it's, depending on which statistic you believe, but it's around 98% of the world is not gay, 2% are gay. So you're encouraging a 2% minority. So, and what's going to happen then is that either they're going to think they're gay when they're not, or they're going to come out of the closet at one stage and say, hey, I'm not gay. And that's, you know, it's hard on gay people to say to their parents, hey, I'm gay. It's very difficult. It's harder, it's not harder, but it's going to be definitely hard on children of gay couples to say to their parents, I'm not gay. You know, and that's, you know, you might think, oh, well, gay people, it's only 2%, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. You're encouraging a child abuse situation. You're encouraging people who, you know, they're going to grow up not shown the norm, they're shown the abnormal. They're shown, you know, and they're going to grow up really confused, abused. And that's really a major reason why same-sex marriage is a problem. It's damaging to society because it's encouraging child abuse, and that's a simple thing. And again, I've said not everybody's going to be abusive. It's not. You're going to have cases where same-sex couples are less abusive, but I mean, you've got to be realistic here. We're creating a situation where it's more abusive to be more abusive than it was. So that's that situation. I mean, it's past now. Good on them. Say hello to you if you're a gay couple in the street, or you become my friends, you become a co-workers. That's fantastic. Absolutely. You're not personally my enemy. And I hope that you don't consider me to be an enemy either. I have every right to disagree with the law that's been passed. Not going to discriminate against anyone for being married if they are gay, or being gay married, as some people like to call it. I think it was a bad idea, and I think it is a bad idea. I think it's something that we haven't really thought about. I think in the campaigns we were very dishonest. And a lot of people were saying, well, why would you ever go against gay people? Because gay people are wonderful. And it's like, well, that's not actually what we're voting on. We weren't voting on whether to make homosexuality legal. If that had been the vote, it had already been passed. Homosexuality was legal when we did the whole same-sex marriage thing. So everybody that said that it was about bigotry was lying. And that's all that I heard from the yes side. They didn't mention anything else. All they said was, oh, well, you know, if you like gays, if you are gay, if you know a gay person and you want to support them, then you know. No, they lied. That's not what the issue was. And I want to just point this out, is that Australia has the highest level of pro-homosexuality, or one of the highest in the world. It was 81% of the country that supports gays. I'm in that 81%, good on me. 81% is not the 61% that we got. Now, I know it's an optional vote and all that, some people might not have voted, but there were less people. It's 20% gap. So what's that essentially saying is that 20% of the population support homosexuality, but do not support same-sex marriage. So it's not the same people. There might have been a lot of similar people. Some of them might have been the same. But essentially it's saying that half the people that voted against same-sex marriage actually liked homosexuality. And in voting that way, they were facing, well, abuse, really, and quite dishonest abuse. I mean, I was called a bigot, a homophobe, and all this sort of nonsense. I was thinking, have you not followed everything I've done in my life? Everything I'm still doing. And it was an extremely dishonest campaign. And I mean, some of the things on the no side about safe schools and transsexuality, I mean, that's a different issue. I mean, I suppose it's sort of vaguely related, but that sort of went off on a tangent. But look, I mean, again, how many people were voting no because they liked homosexuality, they liked same-sex marriage, but they didn't like the idea of transsexuals? Zero? I think it's probably zero. Sorry about that, cough. So basically, yeah, I think, and I still think, that same-sex marriage was a bad idea. And I think it's a bad idea in every country in the world. I think that we should get rid of it in every country in the world. And I don't think there's any way around it. I don't think it's possible to have it in a way that is safe. And also, of course, it makes criminals out of people that are not criminals. We saw the situation with the White magazine, which I've never read, but they were forced to be shut down because they didn't put any gay couples in their magazine. They were a wedding magazine, so it's bad. It's a big problem. And it's not right. You don't have any right to have same-sex marriage. That's not right. It's just not. I mean, you can argue that you have the right to be homosexual. It's not hurting me, so why do I care? But this is hurting me. It's different. It's not the same thing. So, you know, it's not, I mean, perhaps it's not hurting me, but it's going to hurt children. And it does. But I mean, as a married person, it does hurt me. So, yeah, it's rotten. And yeah, I think that as with a lot of things, there's been a lot of lies told about it, a lot of deception. And, I think that if we were honest about it, I think that most people around the world would be against same-sex marriage. But because they think it's the same thing as liking homosexuality, we're voting on one thing, thinking we're voting on something else. think we're voting about whether or not to ban homosexuality again. That wasn't what the vote was. If you voted on that because you were lied to about it, and all those lying ads saying that's what the vote was, do you want to vote again and say, oh, actually, I was lied to? I'll change my opinion. I'll say, hey, what if I said to you, oh, you were voting on whether or not to have worse child abuse, have more child abuse, have people being abused? What if I said that? I mean, that's just dishonest. Probably morons. Because that's actually a valid conclusion of what's going to happen. What we've already seen happen. So, I'm having the institution of marriage be devalued. People are not getting married. There's less and less people getting married. That's going to go lower and lower. And, it's not a good thing. I mean, arguably it's a good thing that being a bastard is no longer evil. This is no longer going to shun you from society. Arguably that's good. But, yeah, just so many things. But look, as with a lot of things, I had a viewpoint and researched things, and in this case, I changed my viewpoint. I was originally supportive of the idea of same-sex marriage because I originally believed that it wasn't going to hurt anyone. I researched this and found that not to be true. So I changed my view. Again, well, I still are. So gay people, very happy to see you. Had a lot of friends over the years, male and female, who are gay. They've been great people. They haven't really varied. They haven't been better or worse. Some have been jerks. But, some normal people, some heterosexual people, anyone will be the jerk. Doesn't make any difference. But yeah, it's been done now. I don't think it's particularly likely it'll be undone. Hopefully it will. And look, maybe I'm wrong. But I think we can predict what's going to happen. And we've made the world a worse place. To pander to people for something they didn't really even want. All the gay rights activists, all the messages, none of them mentioned wanting to get married. Not in the 1980s, not in the 1990s. It's a new thing. In fact, a lot of them said, and I'm sure we can find this, I've seen the things, I heard them, but they said, don't worry, we're not going to get married, we'll take your children. That was part of the poster for why you should support homosexuality being legalised. They lied. And they're lying now. And they shouldn't be. So, why do you suddenly want something that you didn't ask for in the first place? You didn't want, wasn't part of the thing. Changed. Half the world still outlaws homosexuality. The other half of the world legalises homosexuality and have same-sex marriage. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the world, but I think we made a mistake. I think we made a big mistake. And I think the whole world is making a big mistake. And it's disappointing. And of course, just for saying this, I've had a fair amount of shame as well. People, I think all my gay friends I had, or most of them, if not all of them, stopped being friends because they believed I was a bigot. It's very strange. It's nothing to do with bigotry. It's to do with, facts and reality. I support gays. Still do. Never changed my views on that. I've never been of these Bible badges. Never been anything like that. Support code. Nice tool support code. And if you're an individual who has gotten married and you're gay, I'm not going to abuse you for it. I'm not going to say, oh, terrible person. No, you're not. But I'm going to say that, well, I believe that you're less likely to be a good parent than somebody who can actually be the biological parent if you're gay. Or if you're anybody, actually. And I'll say, even if you're heterosexual and you're looking after someone that's not your kids, you're probably not, on average, not going to do as good a job. We know that. We know that as reality. So if you're getting married and you're not going to have any kids, okay, fine. I'll support that. If you're getting married and it's not called marriage, good. I'll support that. But we already had that. We didn't need to steal marriage from heterosexuals, and we didn't need to put children into artificial environments where they're going to be more likely to be abused. We didn't need that, and we shouldn't have. And maybe I can make a stronger argument at some point, and then we can all undo those laws. They don't need to be there. They're harmful to society. And I don't think it benefits anyone, actually. I don't think anyone, not even one person in the world, is benefited by those laws. I mean, sorry, that woman that got to punch somebody because she was pretending they were a bigot, and she got away with that. That person benefited. In fact, all the people that were extraordinarily abusive and that continue to just lash out randomly at people who they believe are bigoted, all of them benefit. They get to be complete jerks and get away with it. They're the beneficiaries, not gay people, not straight people, not people who voted yes, not people who voted no, nothing. Just the absolute jerks that go around using this for their own ends. They're the ones that benefit. They're the ones that want it. Some of them will go, some of them will not. But they're the ones that benefit. That's the only advantage from this entire thing. Yeah. And I wish I didn't have to say I told you so, and the inevitable happened. But at least I'm on the right side of history.